Hello and welcome to Man Goes Racing, where today we're in Assetto Corsa Competizione, as you might be able to tell, because it says it up there. And we're having a look at the DLC that is part of the 1.9 update. I may mention things about physics whilst we're at it. I don't know whether I'm going to do a separate video or not, and I don't know whether this will end up being 1 or 2 videos, but bear with me. Now, the DLC comprises 1 circuit and 3 cars. I'm actually not going to drive one of the new cars to start with. I'm going to go around in a Maserati. Why? Because I can. The circuit is the circuit Ricardo Tormo, which is in Valencia, built in 1999. If you want to know where it is in the list, it's sort of in amongst the GT World Challenge stuff. I think it was actually under 2022 earlier, but there has actually hilariously, I was about to start this and it went, oh, there's another update. So if you've been watching stuff that had an update earlier, there might have been another update since then. There was another 800 something meg before I could do this. So if anything's changed, I'm going to be screwed because I was trying it out earlier, but whatever. Like I said, Circuit Ricardo Tormo, named after the double world champion. He was world 50cc motorcycling world champion. Yes, you heard that right, 50cc in 1978, riding a works Bultaco in 1981, where he was riding a private Bultaco. He was actually rode in the 50 and 80cc classes. It changed to 80 in 1981, I think it was. Was it 81? I'd have to double check that, but around about then. I think it was after 81, because obviously he was the 50cc champion in 81, so it must have been 82. Duh. He also rode in the 125s. But it changed to an 80cc championship after whenever it was. He was actually injured very badly and actually had to retire in 1984, just before the Spanish Grand Prix. I'll let it go around and you can have a look at the circuit as it pans around a bit. He was injured in 1984 during a testing session. What they were doing before the Spanish Grand Prix, they tried to book Huracàn and Calafat, which were the only 2 suitable circuits in Spain at the time. Both were booked. So what they used to do was the Derby factory. There was an industrial estate near them. They used to get people to drive down there, block off the roads with their cars, and then actually use it as a test track. It's slightly dodgy, obviously, but if people know what's going on, they're probably. I mean, Spain is very motorcycle orientated. You might have gathered from the amount of motorcycle world champions they've produced over the years. He wasn't even testing the bike at the time. Apparently he was testing a new gear, so a new suit, and somebody had let one of the people meant to be blocking the road off had actually let a car in. Who knows why, but whatever. He collided with it, ended up with horrendous injuries, which he was forced to retire with. He ended up having lots of surgery, and unfortunately died in 1998, the year before the circuit opened, from leukemia, which is rather sad. He was, of course, a contemporary of Angel. He sort of spanned Angel Nieto and Jorge Aspar Martinez, who was actually his teammate in 1984, or would have been if he'd have managed to do the whole season. So, what are we going to drive? Well, we're driving the Maserati. I'll just go with the aggressive setup because, well, whatever. It doesn't actually matter a lot. I would drive it from the bizarre position back here, and we'll have a drive around. I don't know if you can hear a bit of rattle from my wheel there. Wonderfully modelled circuit, I have to say. Done absolute wonders with it. Even got the underpasses and everything between getting in and out. The main thing you'll notice about the Valencia circuit is it is compact, and when I say compact, that's 4 kilometres, I think it is, tucked into that little bit of circuit there. So it is very compact, very tight. The whole point of the way it was built was it was built sort of almost as an amphitheatre, sort of a bit of Roman gladiatorial about it. So there's huge amounts of grandstands all the way around. Don't tend to have anybody in the middle, but just around the outside. Wonderful circuit to watch out, apparently. Never been there, probably never will, but right, second corner, quite tight, like a lot of them. This is almost a hairpin. This has actually got a little bit of banking to it on the inside, not a huge amount. Turn 3 is a little bit quicker, it's more a little kink through here, so you shouldn't really have to slow down at all. Little bit of a tricky braking zone as you're maybe trying to get from side to side as you come in here. This again, this is probably the most cambered corner on the circuit. Turn 4, is it? Yeah, turn 4. And then that more or less runs through as almost a continuation into turn 5, so it's definitely not a lot of overtaking opportunities between the two. Although on the bikes they do a lot of overtaking in that previous corner because obviously it's banked. You can slide in there and get an opportunity when it arises, or make one in a lot of cases. Elbows out. Yeah. A lot of these corners you can use a lot of the green. I've almost got to the point of going, is there actually a track limit on here? I don't know. Again, this is quite flat, this corner. Again, tightish. I did find in the GT3 cars, I've only done a few laps, but I did a couple of 3 laps in each of the new GT3 cars. In some cases, you're actually dropping down to first for a lot of these corners, just to get a bit of extra oomph coming out of them. This is a sort of a straight. I think you'd probably call this the back straight. It's about as close as you're going to get to a back straight. Little kink in the middle of it. Again, very quick kink here. Coming down into a tricky little braking zone. Again, it's possibly slightly downhill here. Into a very flat, maybe slightly off camber corner. And you want to turn in reasonably late to get around it. It's sort of not quite 180 degree. And then use the full width of the track, including this little bit of extra tarmac here. I'm not even sure if there's any limit there other than the dirt on the outside. Cut this, and then you want to try and come left a bit and try and straighten this out as much as possible, and use this as a straight braking zone because you have to brake into yet another very tight, probably first gear in a faster cars corner here. And this, you really have to try and maximise the exit of it to get up this chute here into possibly the trickiest, or maybe the second trickiest corner on the course. Again, use all this green stuff and the run here. I'm not sure if that will cause you any problems or not. And you want to try and use as much of this as you can get away with. I think that's still legal here. To turn it a little bit later, you can probably run that sausage a bit now. If you go over here, this is actually all legal still, but there's a hell of a bump there, so nasty little dip. On a motorcycle, that would cause you mayhem, and often does through there. So here, you're going over a rise, and the motorcycles are slightly through here on the big bikes. I haven't actually had any car feel like it's going to lose it through there yet. If you were on really, really fucked tyres or it was pissing with rain and you wanted slicks, you might, but not noticed anything yet. Again, you can run right out here. Braking zone is a bit indeterminate. Then try and hug the inside of the corner here. Again, there's a little bit of camber, but not a lot. You can actually get quite a long way over here as well. The pit lane, very quick entrance. I'm not even sure where the pit line is. It's probably about where that big orange pillar is, I think. I might be wrong. Can't see it. I can't see any signs yet. Can I see a sign? I can't actually see anything that tells you where to slow down. That's useful, isn't it? So, oh well. So, it's a very compact circuit. It's a very tight circuit. There is actually a couple of other layouts. I'm just trying to think what else has got the Valencia circuit, and has got the National and the school layout. Is it one of the project cars? Got it? Not sure. Any road up. Let's go a little bit faster, shall we? I said you almost want to be using the pit lane there, and there's a lot of these corners are a lot tighter than you think, and so you might have to be a bit patient on the throttle getting out. You cut that a bit, and then you're trying to get back to the left a bit to make the corners as wide as possible using all the green. Again here, you want to get a good exit out of that previous corner down here. Braking point, a bit hard to determine, but there's a couple of white lines to play with. Again here, way out here onto the grey stuff. Straighten this out as much as possible, and then try and get straight to get down to here. And then this is the point where you want to be going, I'll use as much of this green as possible to turn in. Try and avoid, whoa, shite. That was always going to happen at some point. Oh, I didn't hit the wall, I'm surprised. I may have not quite warmed my tyres up properly yet. That'll get some heating. Yeah, you have to be a bit careful about overdoing it through that kink. And then down to the last corner, which is a tricky downhill braking zone. Again, you possibly want to try and get a later apex on it. Let's see if we can do a clean lap this time. Tyre pressures with the revised physics, you want 26 to 27, so we're a little bit short on the left side. If you're wondering why I chose the Maserati to do this, because I'm an idiot probably. Now I will be racing it in the not too distant future, unless I decide to change my mind about what I'm racing. But so I thought I'll see how it felt compared with the other day when I was taking it around Snetterton. I did a couple of laps around Snetterton earlier. It actually feels pretty good. It actually feels like you can actually recover slightly better if you start to lose it. It's got a little bit more give on what it lets you get away with, so you can recover better when you do make a mistake if the back end steps out of it. Now it does feel much more like it's trying to rotate on the brakes on the corner entry, so not sure if that's just my imagination or whether that's something down to the difference in the tyres or what, I don't know, but we'll try and get the road acceleration in the right place. I feel the back end sort of trying to turn a bit there. Didn't quite get it 100%, but that wasn't bad. Very tricky braking zone down there. You're probably alright in a GT3 car for obvious reasons, ABS, etc. But in this it shows just how dodgy that is. So we'll just do the one fast lap because I don't want to take too many chances. But I will just do the last lap replay. You don't really need to see me embarrassing myself. I'll put it up in the corner when I finish as well. So yeah, it's a really nice little circuit. It's a bit tight. I think you might call it a bit Mickey Mouse. As I said, it's designed specifically to be tight and compact. Very much designed with the bikes in mind, but it is FIA Grade 1. So they could actually have a Formula 1 race around here, whether or not they will. I think they have used it in testing a couple of times, but they of course have the Valencia street race, and I'm pretty sure Jorge Martinez had a bit of a hand in both the trying to get this circuit built and in the Valencia Formula 1 street circuit as well. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure I seem to recall hearing at the time that he had quite a vested interest in it all. So he is, by all accounts, quite an astute businessman. But yeah, tight, twisty, technical. Definitely will push you to your limits a bit on getting it right every time. I think it might possibly a better GT4 track than GT3, but like everything, your mileage may vary. As you can see, yeah, I was getting a little bit of rotation going through there, so quite interesting. But yeah, really, really good job, top notch on the modelling, I have to say. So yeah, lovely job. So, having had a look at that, I think it's time to have a look at the new cars. So, they were only available in the open, but unless they've changed something, which is always a possibility. Have they added the 2023? No. Can you actually see the cars in the 2022 series? Good question. Ooh. Yes, and yes. Interesting, because I'm sure they weren't there earlier on today. Because I went straight to the 2022 series because I was looking to see a 2023 series, and they were not there. So I think they may have done something about it. Right, we'll start with the Ferrari. Yes, I've got my own personal paint job on it, as always. It is I can't remember how you get rid of that. It's a pretty car, I have to say. It's a little bit more angular looking than the previous model, shall we say. I must get a sort of a bit of a Ford GT vibe from it. Might just be me. Might not. But yeah, pretty little car. I believe it's a V6. Might be wrong, but I think that was a V6. Presume the previous car was the V8. I presume that's why it's got a 6 on the end, because it's a V6. I assume. Right, we don't want to go around Brands Hatch, do we? Nah, we'll go around Valencia. What the hell? And what the hell is the weather set to? That should be about right. And we are set to, oh no, we're set to something stupid o'clock. You also don't want it on 2 times. Let's go for it. And of course, you all recognise the gentleman on the end of the thing there. They actually had his mural painted on there when he was having his last race at the end of last season. Season before. When did he retire? I can't remember. Time goes by as you get older, you know. Right, straight in, aggressive setup. And drive. And I have already changed all my seating position to get it so it's about where I want it. First thing to say is I drove this first around here. That's like the very first thing I did after the update dropped, and went, oh, that's interesting. That feels really nice, and there's definitely something different in the FFB. I think it's more organic feeling. It's not so sort of digital in its sort of it's on off. It's now, it feels much more analog, organic, something along those lines. Definitely got nice turning. really well balanced car, and as you can see, I'm humping the shit out of the curves, and like, I don't care, I can do that all day long. So, which is one of their things they mentioned, as it's definitely very nice improvement. I've obviously got to try in a few different places that have got more obvious problems with potential problems with curbs, but it's really nice, easy to drive. He says, try not to kill himself through this corner. Really nicely balanced, just feels so natural to drive. Bit of a stutter there. What that was about. Whether that will show up with you, I don't know. But yeah, just a really, really nice car to drive. It's just so neutral. Goes where you want it to go. Stops, turns, accelerates. And even the sort of little tap on the brakes, and you seem to get a bit of extra rotation whenever you want it. Haven't managed to get it to give me a lot of rotation on power, but certainly on the brakes you can feel it wanting to rotate again. I'm not sure if that's something that's changed slightly in the physics, or whether it's just something in the FFP has given me more warning that the back end's doing something. But it's a really, really, really nice car. And even through that bloody great bump, that would have, prior to 1.9, that would have been death. Going through a bump like that, there's not any dip like that, you'd have bounced off it and gone into bloody orbit, I think. Sort of that time of day, a little bit slow. Still waiting for the tyres to come up to temperature, really. But the wheel just feels really different. It actually feels like there's rubber between you and the road, which I didn't used to get from that feeling. Anything like that from ACC, so it's definitely changed, and I think for the better. So. Ooh, bit of rotation. So it's just, when it does go, it's really, really easy to control. It's really smooth, and again, it's just organic. So yes, it's really nice to drive. It's a lovely little car, that, I have to say. Whether it's the best of the three, I don't know. Don't want to choose favourites. Again, I'll put the replay up in the corner, so I won't worry about it right now. But yeah, that was quite a revelation to jump into that and go, that just feels really, really, it's got this really nice organic feel to it. It's really just seems to do what you want it to, when you want it to. Don't seem to have to fight it. Admittedly, I don't know whether I've got a slightly different oh, it's definitely optimal. Might have been because I had too big a lunch or something, but I was doing 34.3, 34.2, 34.3 in all three cars. They were only about a tenth out from each other, so 35 something was a bit slow. Might have just been me. Like I said, I had too much to eat for me tea. I forgot to have a look at it, didn't I? Let's have a look. Again, I think this is a little bit more angular on the back here, and this little wing I think is different on the Evo. This is because this is the Evo 2, isn't it? Is it the Evo 2? I can't remember. But it's definitely got a slightly more angular feeling to it, as again, like the newer Ferrari. So again, it's definitely classic like Lambo in terms of yes, sort of wedgy shape and everything. So nice looking car. Let's try that again. Start to say, hello, Valet. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to say that every bloody time, aren't I? So right, start aggressive. And again, I've already adjusted my sitting position a bit. I'm assuming map 3 is what it would have on the Lambo normally, and again on the Ferrari that was map 2 or something. So I don't think it was on the most aggressive. I might still have to adjust my position a bit more because still there's a bit too much ironmongery in the corner there. Now in feel terms, it's got the same general feeling, with certainly a bit more rubberiness between you and the tarmac. Ooh, I've actually found a limit there. Probably go and test a few more cars, see if I can spot much difference. I know when I jumped in the Maserati around Snowdon, the first thing I had to do was turn the bloody FFB down quite a bit because it felt a lot heavier than it did the other day when I was driving it. So again, feels fairly natural, a bit more lumpy through there than the Ferrari was, but again, as soon as you get on the brakes, you just get the feeling like the backs a little bit not unstable. It's just got that. It's got a bit of edge to it, so that you feel like it's going to turn in quite quickly. I do have to say, I'm sure the all three of these cars, they feel like they're very quick to turn in compared with how they were on the previous version. And I'm wrong for track again. That's not right. But again, it just feels quite natural to drive. No real dramas, which is what you should expect out of a GT3 car, being a gentleman's driving car. Like I said, with the tight and twisty nature of this track, whether or not it's really a great track for these cars, I don't know, but almost too tight maybe. But you can get away through driving through that dip without too many problems, but See if we can get a valid lap in. Changing up the gear a bit earlier. You can go quite wide here before you turn in as well, so yeah, you're gonna have to spend a bit of time exploring the track limits. There, I'm sure you get a much better feeling from when you've gone over the edge of the tyres turning in, so you've got a much better feeling from when you've sort of gone past the point where the tyres have got maximum grip and you sort of there-ish somewhere as the sort of edge, which is something I don't think I used to feel. So again, that's something I'll have to drive a few more cars to see if I get a feel for. Certainly much less of a song and dance with dealing with bumpy bits and edges of curbs and everything else. So yeah, definitely feel the difference in what it's doing as far as the lumps and bumps around the circuit is concerned. I want to try a couple of cars round somewhere like Laguna Seca, which has obviously got those pillows in the corners, and Kyalami's second last corner, to see whether or not that curb on the inside still tries to kill you, because that will be interesting to see whether or not the changes actually allow you to get away with that. Again, I'll put the replay up in a corner. By the time you see this, the replay would have been in the corner. Last but definitely not least is the new Porsche 992, which again, classic looking Porsche. I was trying to think if there's anything that looks particularly different between this and the last version. I think of the three cars, this is probably the one that's closest to the last version of the GT3. So I don't know whether it's a little bit wider on the arches. I almost started humming the Archers theme tune, but I won't. For those that don't know, that's the longest running radio show in the world or something daft. Again, straight in, aggressive setup, and we'll see what it feels like. Now, I have to say, I don't tend to drive the Porsches a lot. It's one of those oddities. Now, do I remember rightly, the Porsche actually had adjustable dive planes on the front in the previous version. This didn't have any adjustment on the dive planes when I checked earlier, unless that was something that the new update has changed. But yes, that's a really big green flag, isn't it? Again, sort of instant turning. Got a sort of urgency to the feeling you get from the front end in all three cars as we've tried them so far. It's definitely a little bit more vague on the front end than the other two cars, but not in a sort of really bad way. It's just not as not quite as sharp, almost. Sharp, the right word? I mean, it turns in fine, but it just feels like it needs a little bit more persuasion, maybe. I don't know, it's one of those, it's really hard to actually describe what the difference is between them in terms of feel. Nice little bit of rotation if you want it. Again, this too much rotation there. That was interesting. I'm not revving it out, am I? I do it every time I jump in a Porsche. It just screams his head off and I never let it rev out. But it's still got really good sort of mid to low end punch from the engine. Again, really nice car. Does what you want it to. Doesn't try to kill you at every opportunity, which is what you want from a race car if you're going to drive it more than 2 seconds. Again, I can actually feel where I've sort of like I've turned the wheel too much. Take a bit of sausage, no problem. Too far. Let's try that again. Probably of the three, it's the one that's hardest to get in that last corner because it feels like it wants to rotate a bit more. Admittedly, I did actually only do 3 laps in it earlier just to get an initial feel for it, so it's not like I spent all afternoon in it or anything, so it's still a reasonably fresh. This is what it feels like. But I do like the way it handles the curb edges now. It's really much better than it was. You can take a bit of grass, it doesn't give a shit, which is what you want. Yeah, you can take plenty of curb there. I don't know how obvious it was, but it was definitely trying to rotate on the brakes. So yeah, again, a little bit shy on the brake pressures. I hope they fix that so it actually works correctly again with the 26 to 27, so you can tell if you're in the right at a glance instead of having to read the numbers. It's really easy to tell when they're sort of, yeah, they're all level. But yeah, those are 3 really nice cars. How they compare with the old cars, I'll have to have a look. I might do a slightly longer video tomorrow and have a bit of a back-to-back between new and old cars and see how the new Ferrari compares with the old one, and the new Porsche with the old one, and the new Lambo with the old one, and see whether or not they're better in a easier to drive, more consistent way. That's the thing that's always the defining factor for me when it comes to, is it a good race car? Is, can you be consistent in it? Can you get consistently close to a reasonable lap time for yourself? Or are you going to be up and down all over the place because it's just feels inconsistent? You can't always tell what it's going to do. It does weird things to you. So, but yep, 3 really nice cars, 1 nice track. Again, whether or not it's the best circuit in the world, A, for racing on, because if you thought Misano was difficult to overtake on, this is going to be even more difficult. Whether it'll be better for GT4 and or something like the M2 BMW, don't know. Might find out in a few weeks, because I'll probably go, right, we're going to have Valencia as one of our circuits for our GT4 league. So at least I'll have a head start on how the Maserati goes around here. So, but for me, for now, that's a quick-ish look at the DLC. I might have another go tomorrow at a little bit more detail about some of the feeling of some of the changes, have a drive around a different circuit or two, compare some cars, and generally give a more detailed opinion potentially. So, but for me, for now, enjoy your racing. This is, it was £10.50ish, which I thought wasn't too bad. I obviously gonna have to buy 2 copies of it, because I'll need one for my other account, just in case we have to stream it or do something else with it, which is always annoying. But take a leaf out of Raceroom's book and allow people to do this or that with it when they don't own it or whatever. Yeah. Or AMS2, but there, it's only a tenner, whatever. No time at all to make that up on your pension. So, for me, for now, enjoy your racing, have fun, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Where's me bun?